So, welcome everybody to this 2023 Easter retreat. I know many of you have come many times to my retreats, and it just gives me a lot of doubt about my competence as a teacher. I'd expected some of you by now would be fully enlightened. But nevertheless, it's good to see you all. And as I came in here, I just recalled just why I still love teaching meditation and also practicing it. Please, everybody come in and find a seat. A lot of these are over from Jhana monastery. You are welcome here. Find a little place you can sit down. Very good. I was just contemplating when I first practiced meditation. That was about 54 years ago. And a strange thing was, I still remembered the place. It was in a college in Cambridge as part of the university, in the Wordsworth room of King's College in Cambridge. That's how important it was for me. I still remember the place. It wasn't such a great meditation, it was only about 5 or 10 minutes. But I still remember that first time which I closed my eyes and followed the instructions. It felt good. That's the best way I could call it. It felt good. It felt happy, free, no stress, and nice and peaceful. But probably the most important quality of that was just, whoa, the joy it felt. No trouble. The joy it felt of just being able to relax and become happy without anything to eat or drink or nothing to stimulate me. Just to be calm and peaceful was an amazing blessing. And just to feel that, to experience that, was what, okay, you might say, got me addicted straight away. Just the first little sniff of peace and happiness. Oh, we have the bhikkhunis here. Thing is, I couldn't see you behind the Buddha statue over there. Anyway, welcome, Venerables. And welcome as well over there. So, that is first experience. The thing I remember mostly was the joy of it. Not immense joy, not blissed out, but still, it was pleasant. And I think you've heard me say so many times that that pleasure, that delight of meditation is such an important part of what meditation is and how it develops. Basically, one way I described this once over in Indonesia, in Jakarta, was in meditation you learn how to get happier and happier and happier. And that wasn't an exaggeration. That's actually what happens. And it is the joy and the happiness of the meditation which of course makes it very attractive. Yes, you may be philosophers. Yes, you may be really interested in the meaning of life. Yes, you might like to discuss these things with your friends over a dinner or a cup of coffee or whatever. But it's the actual enjoyment of it. That is something which not only is to be expected, but also to be encouraged, and also is an important part of why you're here. Sometimes, people will ask you, as I remember this one lady who came here from Sydney many years ago. She came here, she was an executive in some company somewhere, and of course she didn't arrive here till the middle of the night. She was had to just rush off after the end of work, getting everything out of the way as best she possibly could, and then get on the first available flight to get here. So for her, she arrived very late. I remember she had a wonderful time here meditating, and afterwards I remember her saying to me during the interviews, said, my boss said, where are you going for your holidays? They're going to a meditation center. Meditation center? I mean, this is your holidays. You're wealthy enough. You can get a nice trip over to some resort in the Maldives or by some beach and relax by some beach. You're coming here, and is it very good facilities here? Do you have a king bed or a queen bed to sleep on? You got air conditioning in your rooms? Can you get room service and 3, 4, 5 meals a day? And when she said, no, it's a tiny bed, no air con, and also we only have 2 meals a day, and we can't have room service. And I said, well, what are you doing that for? What do you do all day? Can you watch movies, entertainment, go shopping? No, the nearest shop is a long way from here. And it made the boss think, are you crazy? You call this a holiday? But then when she did go back at the end of the retreat, the boss was very impressed, because I remember she sent an email to me to say the reaction of her boss once she returned to work in Sydney on the Monday after the retreat had finished, 9-day retreat. And the boss said, when he looked at her, I don't know what drug Ajahn Brahm is giving you, because you look so happy and blissed out. I don't mind, I'm not going to call the police, only next time, please bring back some of that for me too. And I just noticed the fact that she was obviously, very clearly, much, much happier going to work on a Monday morning than she'd ever been before. And that was something which I emphasize, that if the meditation works, then you are a happier human being. Whether you are one of the bhikkhunis here or seminaries in the nuns, whether you are one of the monks who comes in here, whether you are the retreat manager who works really, really hard, so please give her a break. And also the cooks, whoever else it is, people coming over from Bodhinyana Monastery, even me. Hopefully you'll see my smile get bigger and bigger and bigger as the week goes by. That is kind of to be expected. Because when you do come to a retreat like this, it does relax the mind, relax the body, makes everything so healthy and happy. You feel this deep sense of peace and joy. I sometimes joke, I said 54 years since I first started meditating. And usually, if you've been working in a company for the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, on the 25th of May, which is only next month, I checked this out with my passport. That'll be my 40th year of working for the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. And if you're working 40 years in any company, the same company, usually they give you a gold watch or something like that. But of course, monks can't receive gold. And what do I need a watch for? You're supposed to be living in the present moment. So I said, well, you should retire, Ajahn Brahm. I am retired. It's a different way of looking at it, isn't it? In other words, yeah, you can work hard, but it's for the happiness of other beings. Is that really work? Service? And of all the work which I do, this is probably my favorite pastime, coming over here and teaching a meditation retreat. You all may know that basically I designed this place. We did hire an architect, but I argued like, I can't really say that. I'm going to say argued like hell with him. I didn't really argue like hell, but I did stand my ground and make sure that this meditation retreat was built according to my specifications, because I raised the money for it. So anyway, some of the details of this meditation retreat. You can see you have your walking meditation halls. That room over there, the room in the back, and the room over here. And I designed those to make sure that if you are meditating here, you can sit meditation, and you can go in there to do walking meditation, come back and sit meditation here. So you're not so distracted between the walking meditation practice and the sitting meditation practice. It's all in the same little compound here. And also little things like if you are very tired or sick, you can always hear these talks even in many of your huts. You can get the headsets, yes. And they can be heard in the near, I don't know how the furthest huts, can they still be heard there?
I'm not sure about the range. I
Yeah.
don't think it's all of them. But
Yeah, some of them you can. What that means is that we make sure it's available so easily for everybody. And even just the chairs here. You have nice mats and cushions, however many cushions you want, to sit on the floor if you like sitting on the floor. You can sit on the chairs if you like the chairs. And honestly, even those chairs which you have here, I went to many shops to choose these chairs, and I wanted chairs which were good for meditation, not just like office chairs or swivel chairs or anything, which have just got the right sort of inclination at the back, comfortable but not overly comfortable, not like armchairs, and not too high, not too low. Of course, people of different sizes. If you are short, then you put some mats or pillows underneath your feet. If you are big and tall, you put a pillow underneath your bottom. That way you can adjust that chair to be really comfortable for you. And also there are a couple of chairs with the armrests, and those are for especially people who get some sloth and torpor, and they tend to lean one way. It's to stop you falling off. And I think we also got somewhere, if you really are sleepy, like a seat belt. So you can put that around yourself. So in other words, you put a lot of time and effort into making sure this is as comfortable as we possibly can make it for you in a way suitable for meditation. And of course you've seen your rooms, those who haven't seen these rooms at Jhana Grove before. Every one of your rooms has got an ensuite. And honestly, you wouldn't believe the amount of argument I had with the subcommittee who was building this place. Well, they didn't build it, they just said all the ideas about it. They said it's going to be too expensive to have en suites in every room. And I said, no, don't care how expensive it is, this is what it should be like. And of course it inspired everybody, and so the funds got raised pretty easily. Not pretty easily, sometimes. Honestly, I still remember now, I was giving some talks over in Sydney, and you got those days were the faxes. They knew where I was, and so the builder faxed the latest invoice, which you had to pay in a week. And it was something like $600,000 or $700,000, that invoice. We only had about a couple of $100,000 in the bank. And I was responsible for that. So it's great. Of course, you know what I did? I sort of started questioning the info. I said, well, this one over here, that seems a bit much, or that seems a bit much. So that just delayed the payment until I could raise the money to pay the whole thing. But you can see what it's like now. I know the vice president of the BSWA and probably the next president is sitting here as well. I don't always do that. I am a very responsible, sometimes, organiser stuff. But anyway, it's very nice you have your own en-suites there and your own room. But while you're in there, please look after everybody else in the other rooms. And I look after them means don't make too much noise. If you see any of them need a bit of help, you know, it's all right to just make sure you're feeling okay, are you eating enough, to make sure that you look after one another. It brings up that idea of noble silence. Remember, we're not supposed to destroy the happiness which is generated in this place, so don't be too serious. If somebody starts talking, don't say, "You talked!" And then you've done even worse by shouting at someone. So instead, if somebody, many of you know this, if any of you someone is talking too much, what should you do? You give them the one finger sign. Honestly, I'm a monk. That's the one finger sign here, not the one that you were thinking about. In other words, just to remind them about the importance of being quiet. This is what we really mean by the noble silence. Noble silence doesn't mean not saying anything at all. It means just cutting down the speech. So you can always smile at one another. That's not breaking noble silence. And it's also acknowledging each other's presence here and acknowledging your kindness. It's a wonderful thing to do. And with the words, we try and keep that to the bare minimum. In other words, if there's something that needs to be said, or the toast is over there, or this is where you get the food from, or whatever, that's okay to say. You don't need to go into conversations which go on for a long time. And that means that this place becomes really peaceful. It's built for that. Even for those of you who get up early and you want a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, when you first get up in the morning, you see all of that is available each in your own cottage. So if you don't want to go down to the kitchen, you just want to make yourself something there, that is fine too. But when you do that, please make sure that you don't... when you're stirring the ingredients, whatever you're drinking. You can... It's a very interesting exercise. If you say put some milk or whatever is in there, stir it slowly, so there's no noise at all. And open the doors quietly, close them quietly. You can do that. We call that in meditation burglar training. Some of you might be out of a job because of current economic situations. So at least you can find something to do afterwards. I often notice that even like burglars, they can open doors and close doors without making any noise. Why can't we? Many of you, if you tried one day as a burglar, you get caught. But anyway, if somebody does make a noise in your hut, Ajahn Chah always used to say, just don't disturb the noise. It's not the noise disturbs you, but you disturb the noise. And what does that mean? What that means is that noise will be natural. People do make mistakes. They do drop things, or they do sort of, the door can sort of bang very quickly, more than it should have done. But if anybody does make a noise, please accept that's part of being a human being, that we make mistakes. And be kind to whoever that perpetrator was. In other words, don't come and see me and say, that person, they banged the door. This is not the first time they banged the door. They are chronic door bangers. We should ban the door bangers from this retreat. Send them packing. Don't allow them to come back here ever again. They're blacklisted because all the time they bang the doors or... That's what we call disturbing the noise. The sound of the door banging finished hours ago, but we keep thinking about it and complaining about it. That's called disturbing the noise. If a real door bangs, it's gone within a second. And you don't allow it to echo in your mind. It's the echoes which you create, and that's where you disturb the noise. There are some people who will be snorers. And you think, oh my goodness, of all the rooms in this Jhana grove, I'm sleeping next to a person who snores so loudly. You know, I used to love it when I used to go and teach in prisons, because some of those were high security jails. And I still remember just once in a high security jail, it was in one of the Canning Vale jails, you always had to have a prison officer with you at all times. Even only a group of 6 prisoners were meditating. And then of course the prison officer had to sit in, had no idea about what meditation was. And as I was leading the meditation, he fell asleep. Which wouldn't have been so bad, but he started snoring. And so that made me open my eyes. And when I opened my eyes to see this prison officer snoring, I saw one of my students, his hand was just about 1 inch from the keys of his nose. And I looked at him without saying anything, he looked at me. He was so close to getting those keys. But anyway, this has happened sometimes, we get a bit sleepy, but we don't need to bother about it. If that happens to you, that you're in one of these rooms and the person next to you, or in the next room, snores really, really loudly, you can remember a story. I don't mind telling you who this was. This was Venerable Bodhidharma. You know, he's over in Switzerland right now, he'll be coming back soon. He was looking after his mother, but his mother actually finally passed away about a week ago. So she died well. But anyhow, he was staying over in Bodhidharma Monastery, and he came to see me to say, my brother is visiting from Switzerland, and can he stay at monastery for a few days? And I said, well, of course, you know, brothers, family members can stay, but there's hardly any room there. And I'm not sure if we can get him a place in Jhana Grove. There was a retreat here at that time. So he said, oh, it doesn't matter, he's my brother, I've grown up with him. We can share my own hut, little kutis. And those kutis, over in Bodhidharma, every kuti is pretty much the same size, 3 meters by 2.4 meters. Standard size. I built most of those, except for my hut. I'm the abbot, the boss, so my hut has to be different. It's smaller. It's the cave, you'll see that soon. But anyhow, I said, look, this is a small room, just 3 meters by 2.4. You know, you have to, sleep quite close together. And I said, what happens if one of you starts snoring? And he said, I've got that all figured out, he said. He said, I'll make sure I go to sleep first. Because I'm sure I snore as well. So my brother can't. Anyway, he thought, no, he's a brother, they love each other, so there should be no trouble at all. But anyway, he told me the following morning, his brother fell asleep first. And really snored loudly in a small room. So there's no way he could ignore it and go to sleep. So what he did was, remember Ajahn Chah's great advice, it's not the noise disturbs you, you disturb the noise. And he tried to contemplate, what does that actually mean? Why am I disturbing my brother's snoring? And then he's a very wise monk. After a few minutes, he realized it was the negativity he was adding to his brother's snoring. So he decided to change his reaction to the sound of his brother snoring in a small room in the middle of the night, and he was very tired, and he knew that he had to get asleep somehow or other. So he changed his reaction to the sound of his brother snoring. And he started to imagine it as some of the state-of-the-art original music. I must admit that sometimes if I pass some music, because you don't have any music here in monastery, but if you pass another place and you hear some music on a radio or on the elevator in the Muzak, some of that music is just so weird and strange, it shows how old I am. And I can understand why people like death rap or gangster rap, or I don't know what else it is. It doesn't sound like music to me. But anyway, he used the powers of imagination to imagine snoring, to have this really imaginative, innovative rhythm which defied all previous conventions and had this melody which was hard to classify at all. And it challenged all the stereotypes he'd ever known of music. It really was cutting edge, state of the art. Never heard anything like this before in any sort of great performance. And then he said, after a while, he could imagine it as actually sonorous. And that's the last memory he had when he woke up in the morning after a very nice night's sleep. He took off the negativity and add something positive, which you can do. And then even snoring was beautiful. So anyhow, that's what we mean by not disturbing the noise, not disturbing anything else which happens here. Sometimes, I hope this doesn't happen on this retreat, for you, Robin, but that once I think that the meal came very, very late. And people were really getting so anxious. Oh, we won't have anything to eat today. You don't worry. Nobody dies if you don't have lunch. And it's a bit more fun. So in other words, if things go wrong, they can't go wrong. They just go differently. I remember those occasions when I was a young monk over in northeast Thailand. We'd only eat one meal a day. And that was very strict, nothing else. Too poor to have things like cheese or chocolate or other stuff in the evenings. Just water. And just one meal of the day. And I remember this one occasion, the alms round, we didn't get anything in the alms round, just the sticky rice. There's plenty of rice to eat. So we had a bowl of sticky rice. in our bowl, and the only thing to go with that ball of sticky rice was a boiled frog each. That was our one meal a day. A boiled frog on top of the sticky rice. No salt, no seasoning, no like tomato sauce or anything like that. Just like a frog had just jumped into the boiling water and then into your bowl. That's just what the villagers ate. And that's what we ate as well. It was a very tough time of the year. So that's the only meal we had that day. Boiled frog on sticky rice. And I tell this story often, especially to any of you who have children, to make sure you tell your children the importance of paying attention at school, especially in biology class. I paid attention, so I knew what part of a frog was what. But the monk, and this is an absolutely true story, the monk sitting next to me obviously didn't know much about biology. He was actually, he eventually became a helicopter pilot in the Vietnam War. And eventually that turned him off violence and became a Buddhist. But anyway, he hadn't studied much about biology, so when he was picking at the frog, he did not know what part was which. And by mistake, he pressed the frog's bladder, which still had urine in it. And that frog peed all over his rice. True story. Gross, but true. He gave up his meal that day. He went hungry that day, couldn't eat anymore. But anyway, even though there was nothing much to eat that day, still it was a story which we all enjoyed. That you don't have to have food every day. Things sometimes go in ways you never expect. Welcome to life. So anyhow, the place is, I doubt if that will happen here, because people we got supplies and all sorts of other stuff there somewhere, and you have a breakfast anyway. And I don't know if there's any Northeast Thai people are going to bring Dharna one day. If you do, you may be lucky enough to get them. No, they're all vegetarian here. But when you are eating, please remember, just don't be too fussy with the food you eat here. When you find out where it comes from, that just really melts your heart. All the food which comes here is all donated. People will be coming here, driving here early tomorrow morning, and coming and unloading the food on the tables and offering it to each one of you. And it's amazing the food which they bring here. They're not being paid for this. They do this as their act of generosity. And of course I know that many of you actually come and bring food to the community on other days of the week. And now tomorrow they're going to come and bring food for you. Whenever you receive that food, people got up so early in the morning, they drove all the way to Jhana Grove, and they try their very best to give you the best possible, healthiest food. Not just from Perth, but sometimes people come to our monastery, they drive all the way from Bustleton. That's a couple of hours, no more than that. And it's amazing what they do. There's no way you could stop them. They do that because they get so much joy out of that. And that's the food you're going to be eating. It's like a privilege and a great joy. So there's so much causes for inspiration here. So when you are meditating, you sit down, It's not just what you do on your cushion or on your mat or on your chair or on the walking meditation paths. There's so much else about this place. It's a shame that the weather has turned now and it's got cool. Because one of our residents here, it's a wonderful animal. It's a dugite. It's quite a large one. And it's always here. It's here somewhere. I think it lives over that way somewhere. But it always comes and visits. It's just so benign. It just sits there, or just sits there curled up, and never is aggressive at all. Of course, because, all of the loving kindness we give all the animals in this place, of course there's no danger from them at all. And I'm sure that in the warm weather, it likes to come out to visit us, to say hello. And just to bathe. We can't give it any food. We can give it a lot of loving kindness. The same with all the other little animals who are in our care as well. So that means that this is a special place. And I came here a little bit earlier than I was supposed to, 22:08, and just sitting down to meditate here for 20 minutes. It's not that long. Had a lovely little meditation, very short, but still very happy. This place has now got some energy building up with it. So it's an easy place to meditate. It's safe. Not every meditation will be peaceful, but many meditations will. And when they are, what do you do to meditate and get peaceful? People often ask me that question. What do you do to get some nice meditation? How do you meditate? What you do to meditate is a very simple answer: nothing. You don't do anything. Many of you are chronic doers. And one of the stories which makes it very clear how to meditate was a story which I read in an in-flight magazine when I was going from one country to another. And that was about the aircraft of the future. For those of you who don't know this story, the monks have heard it so many times, and probably the bhikkhunis have as well. The aircraft of the future. For security, in the cockpit, there'll only be two beings inside the cockpit. One of those beings will be the pilot, just a single pilot, and the other being will be a dog. So in charge of your plane, it would look to you is one pilot and one dog inside the cockpit. And the job of the pilot, the only job of the pilot, is to feed the dog. That's the only thing he does. We've got a pilot here today, haven't we, James? Yeah. That's it. That's your main job, to feed the dog. And the job of the dog is to bite the pilot if he touches anything. Now, of course, you can understand why. That sometimes the automatic responses, which we can program into things like cars or aircraft, can be so efficient that they're safer than the problems from human error. But when I read that, straight away I thought, that is just how we meditate. If I could somehow put a dog inside your mind and tell that dog, please bite you if you do anything when you're meditating, then you'll be in deep meditation so easily, very quickly. We are chronic doers. And to make it very clear, I'll get this out of the way because I always do this simile every retreat, and you've heard it so many times. But here it comes. Your mind is like a cup of water. There we go. And your mind is always moving around. It's never still. It's always agitated, thinking of this or thinking of that. And that is one of the reasons we can't have the joy and the insight of meditation. So here is the water. How do I keep this water perfectly still? Is it still yet? You're the closest. Is it gone still yet? No, it's still moving. Why? I'm not paying attention. I'm not mindful. So now I'll be mindful. Has it stopped moving yet? Why? Because I'm not concentrating. So I actually enjoy this. I will now be mindful and I'll concentrate too. Honestly, that's like some of you look when you're meditating. You got your eyes closed, but I see you. And many of you can meditate like this for years. And you think, you can't do it. You can't meditate. You think there's something wrong with you. For one reason or another. I tried meditation, just can't do it. But there's such an easy way to keep this water perfectly still for as long as you want. And that is to put it down. Not to do anything. Let go. Be in this moment, be content, easily satisfied, not doing anything. That takes restraint. In Buddhism, that's the right effort. It's like a no effort, stopping yourself. It's the effort of the dog to bite the pilot if he touches anything. And to do that for long enough, the mind becomes so still. What do many people do though? Is my mind still yet? Oh, come on. I haven't got all day, come on. I've only got 9 days retreat, come on, become still. It's very hard for us to leave things alone, especially when we're watching something. You've seen that, and there must be some psychological term for this, but it's like the same attitude of a backseat driver. You know, even though the person driving the car knows the way to go and is a very good driver, can you really resist telling them, go left, it's much better. Put your foot down, I'm in a rush. We always tend to get involved. And I've seen that even when, in the old days, we used to go in the monastery kitchen when somebody was making some food, and there'd be everybody in the kitchen saying, no, don't do it this way, do it that way. No, this is the right way to do it. No, that's one of the reasons I have that old saying about you can't have too many cooks in the same kitchen. In the same way you can't have 2 tigers on the same mountain. I think you know what I mean. Can you just watch what's going on without giving your opinion, without interfering with it? It's very hard to do that. So instead, we tend to always get involved, always doing things. Part of that is our ego. We think we're helping, but actually we're disturbing it. So we just let it go and leave it be. And the mind becomes peaceful all by itself. It's a wonderful thing to see, that the less you do, the more peaceful you are. It's not just being peaceful, it's just you get this beautiful energy coming up. I did tell this story at lunchtime. Again, I ask for multiple apology because some of you heard these stories so many times. But I often excuse myself by saying, no matter how many times you've heard these stories, I've heard them more than anybody, more times. So it was a good story of during my final examinations as a student at Cambridge. It was in theoretical physics. And there were a 3-hour exam, a 3-hour paper in the morning, a 3-hour paper in the afternoon, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 6 days in a row. It was very tough. But of course, the worst part of that was I really thought that those exams were important. If I could have only known I was going to become a monk, I wouldn't have tried so hard. But nevertheless, I thought it was important. So I gave it everything I got. And you can imagine what it felt like after doing a 3-hour paper on quantum physics in the morning and thinking it was really important. Had an hour for lunch. I never had any lunch during the exams. I had a big breakfast and a big dinner in the evening. I was a layperson. And at lunchtime, I just went back to my room and I just sat on a cushion and meditated for half an hour. It's a quarter of an hour to get there. Please come in. Yeah, yes, of course you can come in. No, come on, Desi, you can come in. Very good. So I had... Okay, no, you can find a nice place. Yeah, come on. Of course you're welcome. You feed us so often, so thank you. So that half an hour was all I had, walking to the place, my room, and then walking back again for the afternoon exam. But what happened was the first thing which I did was learning how to, well, not learning, as soon as you sat down, this was an important thing. This is final examinations. So the first thing which went into my mind was how I did in the morning exam. It's totally illogical, because however I did, I answered the question correctly or made a mistake or not enough explanation. You can't change it now. The paper has already been submitted. Right or wrong, can't change it. That's a lovely thing with the past. It's done, you can't change it. So because of that, can you let go of the past when you're meditating? What happened this morning, what happened yesterday, your history before you came in here, the last committee meeting, can you let that one go? The, what is it, those water tanks at the top there? Settling tanks. Are they settled now? So to be able to let that go, it's obvious. You can't do anything. It's not helping at all. But few people can actually do that, let go of the past. That's crazy. Aren't you intelligent people? Why do you think and ponder about stuff which happened before, which you can't do anything about right now? The lovely thing about being on retreat, for 9 days you don't have to make any decisions at all, except maybe what type of breakfast you want, just how many tea bags in your teacup. That's about all you have to really decide. So you can let the past go. You can pick it up later, after 9 days if you really want to. But right now, you have nothing to think about but to the past. And that was really important I did this, because as soon as you let go of the past, the next thing which came into my mind was the afternoon exam coming up in about half an hour's time, on which would depend my future, I thought. Final exams, you get a really good degree, you get nothing. So, of course, I really thought I should get up, don't waste my time meditating, instead just get out the books and do some last-minute revision. And of course I was much smarter than that. I realized no. I'd done that many times before at school and university, and I found whatever you study half an hour before the exam never ever comes up in the paper. Total waste of time. Not only that, you realize what was really important was I could prepare my brain and my body for the afternoon exam. Not by working, but by resting it. It had worked hard already. Now I needed a break. So I let go of the future. And I always remembered this. It was something which actually shocked me. When I stopped thinking of the past or the future, my body was actually shaking. I never ever considered myself a nervous person. But because I was not watching what my body was up to, I was just thinking about the future exam or the past exam, I wasn't aware of my body. And as soon as you can see that the body is moving or shaking, it's pretty simple to fix that. Because that awareness gives you feedback. You can see, is that shaking getting worse or is it getting better? Is it calming down or getting more extreme? And it was pretty simple to calm it down, just to relax. You know, you've learned ever since you were kids just how to move your body, how to move your head back and down. So much you've learned from feedback of the body. Now it was shaking. I could just learn what makes it shake less, and shake less, and shake less. That was what we call relaxing. And soon my body had relaxed so much, it was peaceful and still. And the last thing which I noticed in that space between the exams was how tired my brain was. And that's an important point. The way I described it, being born in England, was like a tea bag, which you'd already used once, and you tried to use it a second time. There was no oomph or energy left. And that was my brain. Honestly, I don't know if there's any theoretical physicists here today, but if you do a paper sort of on quantum mechanics in the morning, that pretty much drains all the energy out of your brain. You have hardly anything left for the afternoon exam. So, but what I managed to do, just being still, not worrying, not remembering the past, just being right here in this moment, you gain huge amounts of energy. It's as if the energy which your body produces for your brain and your body is not used up anymore. So that's all free energy which goes into your brain and just energizes you. And once that happens, then you find that your brain becomes clear. It's recharged. And once it's recharged, you go into the afternoon exam peaceful, happy, which also includes confidence. And one thing which I never expected, and no one told me till after the exams were finished, but I remember them saying this to me, that in that examination hall in the afternoon, I was the only student who was smiling as I went into the exam room. I wasn't aware of that, I was just nice and peaceful. But they all thought I was cheating. How on else can you go into a final exam at the end of university, with a smile on your face? Apparently that's how I looked. No one else. That's why I did very well. But it told me not just how to succeed in life, but also just how to be peaceful. Find that joy, to energize yourself again. I have to say this little extra to that story. I do have friends in different religions, and one of them, I don't know if he's still alive now, Moshe Bernstein. He was a rabbi. He was a bit of a rebellious rabbi, which is why I liked him. And he came up to me once and said, we believe in reincarnation too, rebirth. I said, no, you don't. I said, yeah, we do. And I saw another rabbi, and he said, oh, well, actually, we don't. But Moshe Bernstein was a bit of a rebel. But anyway, that made him sort of interesting fellow to talk with. And so one reason or another, he was made the chaplain of Carmel School. It's a Jewish school in Perth, Jewish high school. And so he invited me over there, in order to teach his year 12s about how to pass their exams. So I taught them exactly what I just taught you. And then I don't read enough newspapers. I don't know what happened, but apparently I got this. Well, actually, I got this letter from the principal, a few weeks later, saying thank you, because that year Carmel School got the best school in WA in the Year 12 exams. He said thank you for that. It does actually work, and that's just in life. And of course, it brings you lots of peace and happiness as well in your spiritual life as well. That water hasn't moved since I put it down. So easy when you let things go. My job is to make you trust the process so you don't keep interfering with it. And then you find you come here, you sit down, you just get your body nice and comfortable, you get enough mindfulness up, and you just see what's happening right now. That's enough. If you want more instructions, this is making it a little bit more complicated, but not too much. I often talk about the Emperor's 3 Questions meditation. That simplifies the path of meditation so beautifully. All coming from a story by Leo Tolstoy. When is the most important time? Who is the most important person? What is the most important thing to do? Because the time is going past pretty quickly. When the most important time is always now. It's the only time you really have. The only time you can do anything. Your future is being made right now. If you care about the future, put your attention in the present. Number 2, who is the most important person? I was a student when I read this. And I always thought the most important person would be some big shot, some prime minister or pope or Dalai Lama or Buddha or something. And that wasn't the right answer at all. Then I thought maybe, it's me. Look after yourself. No, those are all wrong answers. The right answer was just really powerful to me. It changed much of the way I looked at life. The most important person was the one right in front of you. That's you right now. No longer now, it's you. Now it's you. In other words, whoever's right in front of you right now, the present moment, that gives them the most important person title. And if, when you come and talk to me, hopefully I try to practice that, you're important to me, I'll give you attention. That way we can actually communicate. If I'm too busy for you, I just run away. You're not important enough. How does that feel? Pretty yucky, isn't it? 'Cause I remember doing that to so many people. And I remember other people doing that to me. You go see some professor in the university, some big shot. You ask them a serious question, they wouldn't consider you important enough to spend time with. So anyway, and the most important thing to do was to care. Many of you know the full story behind that, but just something simple, to care, which was halfway between being mindful and being compassionate. And those are the Emperor's 3 questions. So, what's that got to do with meditation? This is often I found myself doing this, like naturally. You close your eyes, you're sitting here. When's the most important time? Always now. Next moment in the future doesn't count. just now, what's the most important thing to meditate on? Whatever's in front of you right now. That's the most important, valuable, precious meditation object in the whole world. Whatever's happening right now. What's the most important thing to do? Care for it. Open the door of your heart to this moment, no matter what it is. Then you find there's no way in the world you can be restless. No way you can wander around anywhere. Wherever you are, that's the most important meditation object. That just almost like as a stroke, just cuts off this restlessness business. This is where you are, this is where you should be. It's the most important object in the world. But then many people think, well, if you do that, you think about this, and oh yeah, I'm mindful of this, and then you think about that, I'm mindful of that. That's the most important object in the world. You think you'll never get any peace at all in your life. You do. Huge amounts of peace. Because you're not reacting, you're not thinking, this is wrong, I should be somewhere else. You're caring for whatever this is. You find you soon become really peaceful. At first you become sleepy, dull, only because you've been working too hard and your brain hasn't got that much energy left. Now, you just started this retreat. But you stay there, and you find, just like I re-energize my mind to be able to do that after an exam so well, you find the body starts to get some energy back. The brain starts to energize, the mind starts to energize. You start to feel in this moment, this is important. You stay here, and you soon become really still. Mindfulness increases in its strength. You see much more. The effort is not necessary. It's joyful. You're having a nice time. Just that first meditation which I experienced, it gets better and better and better. And even just, I say this similarly every retreat, but just look at that beautiful bamboo floor in front of you. It's full of so much detail. So many different colours of brown and yellows, and where they all meet together, the knots of the bamboo. It's gorgeous. It's only a piece of bamboo floor, but no, you look at it more with greater mindfulness, it becomes beautiful. You just care for this simple moment, and it opens out to you. And your meditation really gets very, very, very deep. Now, the most important time, whatever you're aware of right now, is the most important meditation object in the whole world. And all you need to do is to care for it with a gentle heart, an attentive heart, that's all. But, even that's all you need, I will be giving more talks to complicate things tomorrow morning. And also just interviews and answering questions in the afternoon. Sometimes I think people just have information overload. It'd be very nice if I just stopped right there and didn't give another talk for the next 9 days. Keep it simple. However, that's enough for now. So thank you all for listening. Sadhu. Okay, just checking how many of you remember how to do sadhus at the end of the talk. So there's one thing which the Buddha always suggested, whatever you do, give it everything you've got. So the worst thing, honestly, if you're a teacher and you just put a lot of energy into giving a talk, and then afterwards, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That is really depressing. And sometimes I think, I'm just going to go back to Bodhi Jhana and not come back here again. So we really give it full energy. Ready? Steady, go. Okay. Sadhu, Sadhu. Big one. Sadhu. Now what did that do to you? It gave you a boost of energy and happiness. Many of you are smiling. See how it does work. That's how we do at the end of every session, whenever we do a sadhu to finish off, do big sadhus. Okay, so have a wonderful evening. And again, remember there's a schedule, but the schedule is only just a guideline for you. You all know this before. If you've still got energy, carry on meditating. If you're really tired, go to bed. Get up whenever you want. That is from me, okay? You can get up any time you want. Don't worry about clocks. You will get up for breakfast. Guaranteed. Especially the first couple of days, be kind to your bodies. Look after them. People think, Ajahn Brahm, you're too soft. No, I am not. I've been teaching for many years now. And the feedback you get is most of you have been pushing yourself too hard for a long time. So get a bit of the sleep deficit and the kindness benefits sort of improved. And then you find meditation is so easy, so long and so deep, naturally, without forcing it. And you have a wonderful time. Very good. Yeah. You don't have to wait for me to leave, because I want to do some more meditation in here. So just go whatever you need to.